Alrighty, y'all. Well, welcome to the On Iowa podcast. I'm Leah Vann. I'm the Hawkeye beat writer, and today I am joined by Nikki Freeman and Anthe. How do I pronounce your last name?
Nijziel.
Nijziel. Sorry about that. I forgot to ask before we started recording, but we're gonna play it off. But these two women are from the Iowa Hawkeye field hockey team, which has just qualified for the Final Four of the tournament, where they will face North Carolina on Friday, and that'll be on ESPN3. So that's really exciting. How are y'all doing today? Just open-ended question.
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. What about you, Nikki?
Good. We just had practice a couple hours ago, so we've just been doing schoolwork since then.
Yeah. Well, I guess at least school is kind of remote for everyone. So
yeah.
You're not like technically missing classes, but I see y'all have some nice like hotel rooms though.
Mm-hmm.
Looks very swanky.
Yeah.
Cool. So I wanted to know first off, so I'm from Texas and field hockey is like not a big deal down there. I don't know anything. I like know a little bit about the sport, but not a lot. So I wanted you two to take your turns, like sharing with me how you got into field hockey in the first place. So we'll start with Anthe.
Okay, yeah. I was pretty young. Like in Europe, we start really young when we play field hockey because it's more a sport. Like it's like soccer here. It's bigger at home. But both my parents played field hockey, so they just put me on the sport. And then I also played tennis actually for a little bit, so I played both, and then I had to choose which one. Like it got too much if I was going to play both, so then I chose field hockey because I thought it was more fun, of course. But yeah, that's how I got into it basically.
And yeah, I know that you're from the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And how did you did you know you were going to go to school in the States all along, or like how did you get to Iowa?
I actually didn't know I was going to do that. I was kind of struggling with what I wanted to study, and then this opportunity came along. And in America, it's a bit different, like the school system too. Like you don't have to choose right away what you want to study. So that was kind of what I liked too. And also at home, you can't really combine sports with school. So this was just a great opportunity for me. And then it turned out to be an awesome choice.
And what has been the biggest culture shock coming to Iowa? I know you've been here, you are a junior, so I know you've been here for a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely the language at first. Like, it's just different. Like, you have to get used to it a little bit. But also the food, like, it's just very different. Still miss it sometimes, but I mean, there are also some benefits here. So, yeah.
You have a favorite Iowa delicacy?
Ooh.
Or Midwest?
I like a good steak.
Yeah.
Chop off.
Anthe's gonna be a good friend of mine. I love steak. Nikki, I want to know, what's your backstory? How did you get into field hockey?
Yeah, so I started playing when I was in second grade. I'm from New Jersey, and field hockey is like huge on the East Coast, especially like New Jersey, Pennsylvania, like Virginia, that area. It's not really big in the Midwest at all. So there was like a rec program in my town, and they used to, in our like elementary school, they used to like give out these little flyers that like listed all the sports, and like I saw field hockey and I was like, oh, like I don't know what that is, I want to try it. And so I kind of like, I just like tried out the one day and then never stopped playing. And then I started playing club when I was in middle school, and then played for my like middle school and high school teams, like all throughout my school years.
And how did you get to Iowa?
So yeah, I was like looking at a few different schools, because we do like a bunch of like club tournaments and like recruiting tournaments and stuff like that. And I came on a visit to Iowa, and I just like loved everything about it, like the coaches, the campus, the team, like everything was just so awesome. And like the second I got there, I just knew it was like the right place for me.
Yeah, I know that field hockey and like lacrosse are both like kind of more East Coast sports. So I'm always surprised because the Big Ten actually has a pretty good field hockey scene. Y'all have played Northwestern, which is a really tough team. I know Michigan's a really tough team. So yeah, I wanted to know, what was conference play like this year, with everything COVID in place? How was it leading up to the big NCAA tournament? Either of you can start.
Yeah.
Sorry, you go ahead.
We played like an all Big Ten schedule this year, and like every team was like so good this year. I think definitely like a part of that was like having the whole fall semester to train. Like I think that definitely contributed to it. So every game that we played this year was like so tight, and it was a really good. I think that was really good for us to have those games and like experience those like going into the tournament and everything, so we feel ready.
Yeah, I think obviously it's a bit different. Like usually we would play them once or maybe twice if we would see them in the Big Ten tournament. But I think we were just very grateful that we got the opportunity to actually play Big Ten games, because we didn't know if we were going to. So I think that was a big deal that we finally got to play after a year of no field hockey.
Yeah. And from my understanding, y'all, I was kind of watching the rankings for a couple of weeks. Y'all were like number 2 in the nation at one point. You dropped, I think it was 2 games to Northwestern, and then you ended up beating them in the tournament later, and lost to Michigan. So I don't know, what did you learn from some of those losses, playing those tougher teams, and coming back and beating teams like Northwestern in the tournament?
It's difficult for another team to beat us 3 times. So we knew that. And we also knew that we didn't play our best field hockey in the games that we played against Northwestern. So that Northwestern hadn't seen our best field hockey yet. So we were very excited to show them. And we also knew that we could give a lot more than we did in those games. So we were very excited for this game.
Have anything to add, Nikki?
Yeah, we in the regular season, like in the games that we lost to like Maryland and Michigan, like we were super excited to get like another opportunity to play them on the Sunday game, because we got to play them twice in a weekend. So like against each of those teams, we dropped the Friday game and then we won the Sunday game. So it was cool to like get the second opportunity to play them again and like show them like how we actually play and like play our game.
How has this team grown throughout the season? Like, what do you think is this team's strengths right now going into this next game?
We've worked a lot on our communication on the field and off the field. And I think that's definitely one of our strengths. Like we trust each other, and then with the communication there, like it blows other teams away. And I think that's definitely, if we can bring that every game, that's definitely one of our strengths.
Yeah, another one of our strengths would be like our connection, because we're like kind of going along the communication, like we're very close on and off the field as a team. Like we spend so much time together, especially like being in a hotel a week right now. Like we're all like really close, and I think that contributes to our chemistry on the field too. And yeah, the communication is huge with that, like because we all hold each other accountable and we're not afraid to do it.
Yeah. What has been the toughest part about playing in this like COVID year? I know I've spoken with like other teams, like swim team, soccer team, football team, about kind of all the changes. And it seems like it kind of worked to your advantage in a way. You were saying that you had more time to train for this season. You really amped up the competition with just playing in conference. But I want to know what some of the challenges were this year.
We definitely had to sacrifice some stuff. Like beginning of the year, we made rules for a team to make sure that we could play every game, because if one person gets COVID, like that affects the whole team. So we committed to that, and like we had to sacrifice some stuff. But in the end, like those challenges are like, we get to play, even though those challenges are there, like they're worth sacrificing certain things to eventually end up in a Final Four. Like it doesn't really compare.
Mm-hmm.
Nikki, you have anything to add?
Yeah, I totally agree with Anthe. I'd say that that's like been the biggest challenge, but with that, like having the opportunity to play, we're just so grateful for it. And even in the fall, like when our season was canceled, like we were obviously really upset, but then realizing that we had like 3 extra months to train and like get to know all the new freshmen and like just build up our strengths and keep improving as a team, it really helped us.
Anthe, have you had the chance to go home and see family with all of this that's gone on in the past year, or how have things been back home with the virus?
Yeah, I went home over Christmas for a month. I was lucky that I got the opportunity to go back because over summer it was very difficult with the travel ban and stuff. But yeah, I was very happy that I got to go home for a month and also be able to come back here. It's a little bit different at home. Like we have been in a lockdown for a couple months, so like all the restaurants, all the shops are closed. There's not much to do.
Yeah.
At home.
So I guess they shut down things a little bit more in the States.
There's also a curfew.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that still in place, or was it just?
I think they just canceled it. It was at like first it was 9, then it was 10 p.m. and then they just said we're done with it.
Yikes. Well, Anthe, I was reading a little bit about you, and you were the Big Ten Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. And then Nikki, I read that you got the Big Ten Sportsmanship Award, and have also read through some of your stats. And so I wanted to know, I'll start with Anthe, like what's really worked in your game this year? How do you think you improved, and how did you get to achieving these awards?
I think what I improved in my game is also my communication. But I also want to give a shout out to Logan and Harper. Like without them, I would not have had that award. Like it's definitely a team award. That's how I see it. Like our team defense, it's also Soph and Nick as a screen, like it's just been awesome this year. But then also with our communication and connection, like the way we know how we've trained and how we can put that into our game, like it's just been awesome.
Nikki, and I thought the Sportsmanship Award, I mean, that's obviously kind of more of an off the field thing. I also read, I think during the regular season, you had like 2 points, including 1 goal. And just want to know, how do you think you've grown and what you've worked on? And also, why do you think you might have gotten that Sportsmanship Award?
I mean, obviously it's a huge like team effort, like everything we do. I think where I've improved this year is just like my confidence on the field, like feeling confident in my position. And I mean, my teammates, especially Anthe and the defenders in the backfield, always have my back behind me. I think everyone on our team just works so hard for each other. Like we all play like as a team. Like we don't really look at like the individual like points and all that kind of stuff. It's more like celebrating each other's like little victories and like doing it as a team.
So making the Final Four, obviously a big accomplishment, but this team has been in the top 10 consistently like all year. So it might have been an expectation for y'all to make it this far. I don't know. I'm wondering, did you expect to make it this far? And kind of what, obviously the goal is probably to make the national championship, but yeah, I wanted to know if you expected that this team would get here.
I mean, in the beginning of the year, we always set goals for ourselves, and the Final Four and the national championship are definitely part of those goals. So I wouldn't say we expected to be here, but we've worked very hard to be here. So I think we deserve to be here, and that's the biggest thing. I don't think we expected to be here. Like we always have to work hard for it. I think if you expect it, you become complacent, and that's never what we wanted. So
yeah, we've improved like so much over the last few years, and like each year over the last 3 years we've improved on our like NCAA run each year. Like Anthe's freshman year we made it to the Sweet 16 and we lost. Last year we lost in the Elite Eight, and then this year we're making it to the Final Four. So I think it's just been really great to like see that improvement, and like we know what we're capable of. And like Anthe said, like we have worked so hard to get to this point. We've really like worked so hard to earn it, and we just want to like show everybody like that we deserve to be here and what we're made of.
Oh, so looking ahead with this upcoming game you have on Friday, I want to know what this team is focused on, what you're working on, and what's going to be the biggest challenge that you face in this North Carolina team.
They definitely have some skilled players, but I think we just try to focus on ourselves and what we can control and what we can bring to beat the team that we're playing. I think we just try to focus more on ourselves than on the team we're playing. Like, obviously we're aware of their strengths and their weaknesses, but we try to put those strengths and weaknesses in what we can bring to that game and how we can adapt to that.
Yeah, I think it's also going to be a big like mental game for us because we lost to UNC in the Elite Eight last year. Like, we're playing them on their home turf in the Final Four. I think they've been undefeated on their home field for the last like 3 years, but that's definitely something that like, yeah, we like know that it's going on, but we don't really let it affect us. Like, at the end of the day, like Anthe said, like, we just focus on our game and what we can control, and we know that that's what we have to do to focus on winning the game.
Not losing a game on their home turf in 3 years, it almost seems like a challenge for y'all. It's just something like, ooh, I want to break that. It's also bound to break eventually, right? I mean, I think like you said, it's really hard to beat a team. I think it was 3 times in a row. And now it's like, how long can this last, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Is there, I wanted to ask a little bit more about the sport of field hockey, because I'm sure that a lot of our listeners do know a lot about it. I don't. And so I'm trying to learn. And especially if I'm going to watch this game on Friday, I basically, from what I think, it's like hockey on grass, which that's a concept that I can understand. But what are some of the differences between like ice hockey and field hockey, besides like the whole grass concept? And like, yeah, if someone could maybe explain to me how field hockey works, some of the rules, and like, if you're going to watch this game on Friday, how should we watch it?
The biggest thing that comes up for me is that we can only touch the ball with one side of our stick. I think in ice hockey that's different. Ooh. Honestly, I haven't really watched ice hockey, so honestly don't really know that much about ice hockey either. But yeah, I think it's also more, you need more skills. Like, you can't just push people around. Like, it's more skilled and tactical, I think.
Yeah, another huge thing that when people watch it for the first time, they get confused about is that the ball is not allowed to hit our feet. So like the refs like blow the whistle a lot, like if it hits your foot, and you have like a free hit and a restart. So that's like one of the big things that people always ask about. And yeah, it's not as like physical as ice hockey. We're not allowed to like push each other or anything like that.
I covered a little bit of women's lacrosse, and which is again totally different sport, but kind of similar in a way. And there were a lot of fouls in that sport too. I couldn't even like understand all of them, but I didn't realize you could only hit the ball with one side of your stick. That sounds crazy to me. This sounds extremely hard.
I mean, one side of the stick isn't flat, so it's honestly really hard to hit it with that side. Mm-hmm. So you probably don't even want to hit it with that side.
And so, yeah, because I was reading through it, and Anthe, you're a defender, but you've scored a couple of times. I think I have you down, at least pre-tournament, for 2 goals on 8 shots, and that this team has had 7 shutouts in the regular season. So yeah, can defenders like score? You just can play anywhere in the field, or is there like a zone you have to stay
in? This is another rule that if you have a foul in the circle, like it hits your foot or it's a bad stick tackle, you get a penalty corner. I usually score on penalty corners. I don't get up in the field that much unless there's a penalty corner. So that's how I usually score when I score.
Gotcha. Penalty corner. So almost like in soccer, it's like a corner kick.
Yeah, a little bit similar.
Cool. you're probably like, yeah, Leah, you totally know what you're talking about. Let's do that hockey. What else? Like, is there anything else that listeners to this podcast should know ahead of time if they're going to watch this game on Friday? Anything about this team? Yeah, that I've maybe probably missed.
You go ahead, Nikki.
Putting you on the spot, Nikki.
I mean, I think
you're a senior, this has got to mean a lot to you.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's so cool to see how much like this team has like improved over the last few years, especially since like my freshman year, but like over the last 3 years has been amazing because we've made it really far. So we're super excited for Friday. We're gonna give it everything we have and work hard for the entire 60 minutes and more if there's overtime, which hopefully there isn't. But yeah, we're really ready to play.
Anthe, you have anything to add?
What Nikki said is 100% true. Like a lot of us have played with each other for 3 years now. So I think reaching the Final Four is definitely an accomplishment, but our team is definitely not done yet. Like we want to make it to the championship game and we want to win that game. So we're very excited and I hope a lot of people are going to watch the game.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you ladies so much for coming on the On Iowa podcast, and everybody stay tuned to ESPN3 to watch. What time are y'all playing? Is it 2 p.m.?
1 Eastern time, I think.
1 p.m. Eastern time. So that would be noon Central. We had a little bit of a time mix up even scheduling the interview today. So yeah, ESPN3 at noon. I will post the link on my Twitter at @LVann Sports. And yeah, thank you both for joining me on the podcast. And stay tuned to the Cedar Rapids Gazette for some coverage.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.